Hello everyone. Hello everyone and welcome back to our Witness channel. It's been a long time and much has happened. So there will be a few videos today where we will try to find out what we have done through all those years and how everything unfolded. So the last video is about 2 years since, and all that hasn't changed is the view. I have been out and about and I can confirm that the view is still the same exactly. And I have read a little bit through what I wrote 20 years ago and 30 and 40 years ago. And yeah, when I bought my System 5 copy of Unix in 1989, I think, for the then horrendous amount of 8,000 German marks for 25 5.25-inch CDs, and it was about 6 handbooks. Yeah, and now all that is called Linux and is free and has evolved to, we are waiting for it, but we are very optimistic that Linux will be the #1 worldwide distributed PC operating system within the next, basically we don't know exactly, but it might already be, but it will be within the next few months. So Windows will not be the #1 operating systems in the operating system in the PC market any longer, but will be replaced by Linux in whatever form it is, Fedora or SUSE or whatever the tag on it is, but the thing under the bonnet will be Unix from 1969. I started working with Unix in 1979, I think, yeah, 1979, on a French mainframe. I can't remember the fucking name. It was a machine which had monitors already, and we had, I think we had one hard disk on it, which was about 50,000 marks. And as our building was close to a rail track, we had head crashes when the trains passed. So yeah, that was what it used to be, and now we have evolved through a lot of hoops and steps and whatever, and the world is basically, I don't know, but the PC world or the world of IT is basically uniting back to its roots. So from Unix in the 60s, which was the uh, yeah, what, Unix in the 60s was basically, you can't say in the 60s, so it started in 69. So in the 70s, the Unix in the 70s was the try the attempt to unify an operating system market, which was uh, characterized by uh, basically every machine having its own operating system. And now we are going back to this attempt, and what we are seeing is that we will have some kind of operating system structure which is from your phone to the biggest supercomputer, all running on the basically same operating system, only nuances apart, which is exactly what the idea of Unix was. So if it is Android or Knoppix or whatever the supercomputer is running on, then that is still Unix. It's only a derivative. So what is it that brings me up this early? So what we had was about a year ago. We had it's a year and a half ago. We had a power outage here because one of our neighboring houses was used as a marijuana farm, so they grew marijuana plants in there, and they didn't want to pay the electricity bill for all the things they needed, for all the appliances they needed. So what they did is they dug a hole in the street and went to the one of the junctions, to the cable junctions, and spliced it and attached their electricity directly to the mains, and that went very well for them for about 1.5 years or so, and then they overused the in-house electricity, and the system somehow couldn't cope with the amount of electricity they drew from the main, and they had a fire inside their operation, and the farm was discovered, and subsequently our whole neighborhood was cut off from the electricity because the electricity company couldn't remove the cable from the junction because they spliced it directly in. So they took a they took a huge risk. Yeah. So anyway, they managed to survive the splicing in of the cable, but nobody was willing to cut the cable off. So they had to cut off the whole neighborhood from our mains, and we were without electricity for about 2 days until they found the actual place where they spliced the cable in. which was a bit of a pain in the back because I have our whole household running on electric appliances. So that means we were partly unable to turn lights on or off because we couldn't use our Amazon delivered, I don't want to speak the activation word, our Amazon delivered supply of turning lights on and off, or playing music, or even our phone was running on voice controlled appliances. So for us it was a bit of a bummer, which gave me food for thoughts. So what became the start of a project, which was to replace our useful Amazon delivered agent through something that is homegrown and where we have full control of, and where we can where we don't need internet, and we can use battery powered or solar powered electricity if it ever happens again to us that we will be cut off from the main supply. So over the time of the last 1.5 years, we have practically built up an ecosystem which will allow us, if the same happens again, to keep up our rudimentary, I mean, we won't be able to iron our shirts or run the washing machine, but we will be able to keep up a few lights and the basic running of our infrastructure as it is depending on communication. So we will be basically able to run our cell phones and our internet connection without mains, and we will be able to listen to music and have a basic we have a basic cooker, and I know it all sounds like doom and gloom, but it isn't. It is just experienced. We had, when we moved here 20 years ago, we had a power outage which lasted for a few days, for a few weeks, and we were only saved by the grace of our camping equipment, which we had in the garage, where we could cook water and cook meals. And then, as I said 2 years ago, the same thing happened with our domestic supply here in our new apartment. So yeah, it is happening. It is not that rare that it only happens once in a lifetime. And with the new technology and with all that, we are basically able to do this on a budget where everybody can do it without breaking the bank. So, and if you slice it into nice parcels and divert it into uh, manageable chunks, then you can have it without even starving or whatever. It is not that you need thousands, hundreds, and thousands of pounds to realize it. So the basic electricity part was about 3,000 pounds. So that was a few solar panels placed on strategic places, so that we can have around about 1,000 watt, a kilowatt, and a few batteries, and the converters which you can attach to the mains, so that in the case of no electricity coming through the mains, that you can just switch your batteries in there, and then you have mains, and then you have electricity back in. And that it was about around about 3,000 pounds, which does not include the running of the batteries through the mains. So it is not an official solution. So that would get set you back another few thousand pounds to pay the electrician to connect the batteries to the main system. But so far, I mean, it is working, so we can use it for our camper van or for our car if we want to. And that is another basic advantage of the whole system, that it's mobile, so it's not confined to any one space. So you can just basically carry it around and use it on a campsite or in a camper van, and it is doing the same, it's useful stuff. So what is it? So that is the electricity equipment. I don't need to go into that very deep, because there are so many things, YouTube videos about off-grid, that it is not it's not necessary to have another 5,457 one. So we can just keep that in mind. And if you're interested in having a basic balcony system, then you can just look it up, or look up any camper van conversion, where you can see how it works and how people do it and what you need to do it. What we will focus on today is the replacement of our electronic helper system within the flat, and how we try to domestify our voice control system and run it locally without being dependent on Mr. Bezos and his company. And yeah, that is what we will focus on the next few episodes, and I will show you where we are and how we got there. And yeah, it is a bit of a wrapping up of the last 2 years and we will go through all the steps and all the hoops and what we did. I'm just looking to find where we are and what we are. Yeah, it's interesting. So there's obviously a mismatch between our uh, F F keys and our OBS Studio, so we have to repair that one. But anyway, this is not uh, an attempt to win a first prize anyway, so we will just let it run its course like it is at the moment. And now we will just start introducing the steps of what we did and how it all works. So as I said, I bought my first System 5 pack of Unix in the early 80s, yeah, no, early 90s, and I paid an enormous amount of money for it, and my eldest daughter was already born, yeah, and I think the second one was also born. Yep, and I remember sitting at the desk and they playing on the floor, and I was busy trying my new pack of 5.25 inch CDs in a floppy disk, not CDs, floppies, in a IBM ATX machine, yeah, and it was daunting. Yeah, so then we went on to install Unix systems and onto the first hard disks. When they came on, the 10 megabyte hard disks, and I think I still have some of the old IDE hard disks here, which were about 100 megabytes. And then we went on to get the first novel systems where we could connect Unix machines and build cluster. And then we had the first modems and 1200 baud modems, and we could connect machines via the phone lines. And I remember those times very fondly, playing Larry and testing our phone connections from one machine to the other. And then in the early 2000s, when Linux Torvald was advancing and SUSE Linux replaced my System 5 Unix versions, and everything went into Linux and Windows. So the world fell apart in two opposing blocks. One was Linux and the other one was Windows. And in the early 2000s, it looks like Windows was winning by a mile, because the price for Windows versions became so low that it was basically free. So you could run a Windows XP version on any hardware, and you could get it for as much as a fiver, as less as a fiver, or for free. So Linux was having a hard time competing against another basically free operating system. But then luckily greed won over, and Mr. Bill Gates decided that he has to crack down on all the copies, and they have to find a new mechanism to sell their shit. And then Linux had a huge boost, and we were back on the scene. And so in the early 2010s, 2010 to 2015, Linux had a huge boost in developing, and from 2015 on, it was just it was the marathon became a sprint. And if we look at as I said, at the numbers now, it is about to become the most powerful and most widespread operating system on the whole planet. And what we did is, that was years ago. Yeah, we did set up some other avenues, and you see we are still working on our Bitcoin and what we did is we specialized in virtualization and in distributed data storage, and that is where we ended up. And what the outcome of all this is now, that we have machines which are capable of doing the stuff we used to do in mid-size. Yeah, we'll just found it, looked it up. So that is ProLiant DL580 generation 2 from 2005. I think it's 2000. Yep, 16th of December 2005. So that is 20 years ago, and that was $20,000, or a little bit more than $20,000, and you had a maximum of 32 gigabyte of RAM and I don't know how many terabyte, maybe 1.2 terabyte of disks, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 1.2. So it's 300 gigabyte of SCSI disk. It wasn't even SAS, it was still SCSI. And 32 gigabyte of RAM. And what kind of CPU was used? God, where is the CPU? Memory, chipset, processor. Xenon, first generation Xenon. First generation Xenon. So that is so the 580 had 4. Was it already the one with 4? I don't know. Yeah, I think that was already the one which was capable of having 4 CPUs. So you could have 4 CPUs and each of them had only one core. So you had basically a 4-core machine, and if you wanted to have it with 4 CPUs, that was north of $30,000. And that is replaced now with something like, let's have a look, this one here. That is where we run our main computer on at the moment. That is Ultra i7 155H, and that is the size of it, and that is having 64 gigabyte of RAM and a few terabyte of hard disk space, and odd cores, and you get that for £750 at the moment at Amazon. So that is the equivalent of the HP 580 DL from about 20, no, not about, from 20 years ago. And it is faster and better, and yeah, don't let me start talking about the money and the weight. If you ever worked with those machines, they were back breaking, and they were hot, and they consumed a lot of energy, and their noise was unbearable, and yeah, it was horrible. I still have one. I kept one of those just for emotional reasons. One is still under one of the beds in the basement. I just can't let go of it. Yeah, so now, as I said, we are using a new form size. So we have replaced all our mid-size and towers and with machines like those here. We are running 4 at the moment. We are running 4 mini computer with storage units attached, so they obviously don't have the space for hard disks, and we are not in a position to supply enough NVMe storage space, so we just connected hard drive enclosures to them. They are doing around about 200 megabytes per second, so that is more than enough for what we do. And they all have NVMe's for the basic input-output systems, for the basic operating systems. So that is only storage for data and for models and whatever. So there are a few. I have some more examples of what kind of systems we have. Here, let's see. Yep, that is basically one of the systems. So that is our proxmox server. That is a i5 1200T, and we bought it for £210 a year ago. So If you look carefully here, so they are now at 194 pounds. So that is around about, you should get it for 150 now, and that is running the proxmox server with one of those storages attached. And that proxmox server runs our virtual machines. So that is basically a Windows machine which runs our plex server, and an Ubuntu machine which runs our Dolphin so that we have plex and not dolphin. No, what am I talking about? Jellyfish, not dolphin. Plex and jellyfin, because we need we couldn't, or it wasn't that we wanted to have a plex server because we have a lifetime plex pass and of the integration with Amazon, and jellyfin is not integrated into our Amazon speaker system, so that's why we kept the plex server running, even though jellyfin is for the domestic use, for the in-house use. Jellyfin is the better option because it is more user friendly and much easier to handle than plex is, which has evolved into a very complicated and complex systems because they have added more and more commercial stuff into it, so that you have to buy add-ons and you're able to spare to spend money, and they can sell advertisements, and all that is not present on jellyfin. So that's why we run a proxmox server which runs virtual machines, and the one of the virtual machines is the Windows virtual machine, and that is running the plex server. And we can have a look at how it looks like. So that is, no, come on, did it? Ah, there it is. So we have a 10 terabyte disk in the disk enclosure, which is running the virtual disks for the Windows server. So we are using 5 terabyte of it at the moment for the jellyfin, and another 5 terabyte for the jellyfin, and 5 terabyte roughly for the plex server. So we have a local disk in the Dell optiplex, which is 500 gigabyte, and we have a disk attached in the storage unit, which is 10 terabytes, so that we can run the movies and films and everything on the virtual machine. And yeah, it is good enough for running the plex server and everything on without any problems. and you could also run the main advantage is that you can run the plex server, and that you can don't have any quarrels with viruses or anything, because if it breaks down, then you just nuke the machine, and we have set up some clones so that in case something goes wrong, then we can just start our clones and nothing really bad happens. So you can set up as many of those virtual machines with proxmox as you want, and you will yeah, and you can actually you can always have the latest version and everything. And the jellyfish runs on a here. The jellyfish runs on Ubuntu. So you have a Ubuntu, another virtual machine which runs on Ubuntu. It takes a bit because of the USB connection to the disk enclosure, which obviously is not the fastest one, but it is okay. You see the response time is not as bad. I will just show the update. Let's see. So that is real time now. It takes a bit of time. It's not the fastest one because we have a very slow internet connection coming on top of it. We had to we have reverted from our very fast internet connection to a slower one because of the price. So that is what I've did now, is I've updated and upgraded the latest Ubuntu version, and now I'm restarting the virtual machine to give you a taste of what it takes and how long it takes. So we are already restarting. Now you can see what you're watching is the restart of the virtual machine, and now we are back where we started. And if we find the jellyfish, let's see, where is our jellyfish? Here it is, and let's see, can we access it? Yes, it's already back on. So that is pretty good, and this runs locally. That means every computer and every tablet in the house is able to access the jellyfish, the music, and you can play it from anywhere in the house. And if you want to use our voice system, then you have to use the plex server, which is connected to the voice assistant. But we are, as I said, we are already working on replacing that one, and then we will be able to use a voice system without the help of Mr. Bezos. And how is the here I have some, so that is the alternative to the system we have with the optiplex and the and the and the enclosure and the USB enclosure is basically that you buy one of those for little money and then you can run the software and the storage on those NAS. But what we spent 104 no, we bought it from Amazon warehouse for 80 quid, and 210 for the i5, so that is plus four 10 terabyte hard disk for each one for about 100 quid, refurbished ones. So we paid 700 in total for the whole thing, and it is running on a with how much RAM do we have? I think we have 64 gigabyte of RAM. Not sure. Yeah, each of the virtual machines has 16 gigabyte of RAM. So we have 64 gigabyte of RAM running for the proxmox server. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Let's see, what do we have? RAM, yeah, 64 gigabyte of RAM, yeah. And we have 12 CPUs. So that is a little bit better than what you would get for your 1200 pounds here. And the main advantage is it is a modular build. That means if any one part fails, you don't have to throw the whole thing away. And you need to have a computer attached to that one as well. So you need at least a £100 mini computer to run the software on it to connect to the NAS. So that comes on top of it as well. So this is the much cheaper option, running it on a enclosure and with a mini computer, a used mini computer. So that is the first part of it, and yeah, we have another system attached to the main PC. I'm having a hard time calling it a PC because it looks so tiny, but it is basically what it is. It is a PC, and there is another 4. Let me see, do I have it here? Nope. Where is it? Yep, here. So that is what we have attached to the main PC. That is basically a 4-disk enclosure, and that is for 14, 28. Yeah, it's roughly about 50 terabytes in there, and that is for storing all the AI models, because the main purpose of that thing here is to run all the AI models, as we will show you later, and they need a lot of storage space because some of those models are north of 40 gigabytes, and if you have to store 20 of them, then you need a lot of storage, and that's why we attached one of those. And we store the models on the enclosure, and we copy them between the enclosure and the machine so that it doesn't need direct access to the enclosure during operations. So the the actual mini PC has a storage has a hard disk included. Here we have two NVMe's, each of them 2 terabyte. Yeah, so we have 4 terabyte storage within the mini PC, and then we have the enclosure, which I have disconnected at the moment because it is not necessary to run the enclosure when I make YouTube videos, so I don't need it. And then we run the AI locally on the mini PC, and copy the models between the storage system and the PC. So we have a few stored on the local disks, and the ones we usually access, and then we have all the other ones which are rarely accessed, or not everyday access, on the storage enclosure. So if you are into AI, you know that you need different models for different purposes. And so if you want to use speech models, then you have some models, and if you want to make pictures, then you have others which are specialized on pictures. And if you want to do movies, then movie sequences, then you have to do different. And then we have different competing models for speech and for pictures and for movies. So it is all quite a mess at the moment, but for what you can what you get is amazing. So that is the main computer for the AI system, and the AI we are running on it is we are running Olama with Gwen, and oops, let's see, where are we? Yep, no, that is that is the home. It's still not the right. Yeah, that is should be the right one. Let's see. Yep. So we are running Gwen 2.5 at the moment as our local model. The 9 gigabyte version, so the 14B I think it is. Yep. And you can get the Gwen model from our Chinese friends, and you can also get the Gwen Max, and you can connect it to your local machine if you want to run it on a large scale model. And then you need an API which you can get from Alibaba clouds, and then you can connect it to your local machine and have the same functionality as you have when you get on the Alibaba website and try their model there. So we have locally the Gwen 2.5, and you can download those models from GitHub, or depending on what you want, Hugging Face, or there are a lot of competing models, and we are going with Gwen 2.5 at the moment because it works with our Home Assistant. It is integrated within the Home Assistant, so I can have a conversation with my if he comes up. Let's see. Takes a while, obviously. Good. So Marvin, if you're listening to, or if you ever read Hitchhiker Through the Galaxy, then you know why I called my assistant Marvin. And then we can tell him turn off the light. Let's turn him on. Turn on main. So, yeah, and I can see. No, you can't see because there isn't much to see. So we have all our appliances in this wonderful sheet as far as they are included. So we are still a work in progress, but you can see I can turn it on and off here manually, but I can also employ my assistant and let him turn it on again. Turn on main, and it turned on, and then I have some pork shoulder steaks in the fridge and some left. Oops, what's wrong with shoulder? Okay, and some leftover rice. Punkt. What do you suggest to make for lunch? Lunch with that. Let's see. What is Marvin up to today? So that is the 14B model, which is 9 gigabyte, which has a few billion iterations in it. So it's not that he will respond in milliseconds. If you use smaller models, then the response time will be much faster, but I prefer accuracy over speed. So I'd rather wait a little bit of time to get a response and then get something which is a little bit more substantiated. So let's see. So Marvin, you could make a delicious pork stir fry with your leftover rice. Slice the pork shoulder steaks into thin stripes, then sauce them with some vegetables like bell peppers, onions, broccoli until they are cooked through. Add any seasoning or sauce you enjoy, such as soy sauce, garlic, ginger, and a bit of honey or for sweetness. Serve the stir-fried pork over left. Okay, over your leftover rice. This will make you for a tasty and satisfying lunch. I mean, yeah, that is exactly what I had in mind. So, yep, I am very well adjusted to Marvin. So as you can see, that works pretty well, and good. And now he has turned off the light again. So that is a Home Assistant, and the Home Assistant is working with the local AI in tandem, so that you can use it not only to turn on the lights and everything, but also to have you connected to the wisdom of the assistant in connection with the home. What we are still working on is the voice and speech input. So we already have realized the text to speech output that is working already. It's just not very satisfying to have it working during a video session. So the other problem, the input via the microphone, is depending on the SSL certificate. So if I want to do that, I have to set up the certification for SSL first, to have a HTTPS connection to the Home Assistant, and that is where we are at the moment. So I've already, as you can see, as you did see, the proxmox server is already running on a domain, and I just need to connect the DNS and everything to the domain, which I haven't done yet because I also have a life. And yeah, once we have finished that, which we will achieve within the next 4 weeks, I guess, then we can have voice input and output, and then we can basically turn our Amazon appliances off, because then we can do everything with Marvin. it will be a bit depressing to say goodbye to our Amazon voice, which accompanied us over the last 5 or 6 years. But what can we do? So that is basically Home Assistant running, and I can show you where it runs on. It runs on it runs on a HP mini computer, generation 3, and that is the that no we have an i7. Let's see, do we have, oh yeah, I tried to find one on eBay today to see what they are. I bought this one where we are running it on. I bought it for £50 on eBay about 6 months ago, so, and they obviously have gone up a little bit on price. So what you have to look after is you have to buy a 7th generation one if you want to make it a little bit sorry, an i7, a 7th generation AI Intel CPU, if you want to make it a little future proof. So that is generation 3 and i7, and there, as you can see, this one is a bit pricey, but I think there was another one. Wasn't there another one? 260 generation 3 you need. So you see, don't buy those. Everything that is lower than 7,000 can't work with Windows 11. So if you want to ever have to work it with Windows, then you need at least a generation 7. i7 is the 7,000 is the minimum you need to run Windows 11. They won't do. So that is not enough. If you have an i7 6000, then it will not run. I mean, never say not. There might be the occasional one which runs for whatever reason, but usually Windows 11 will refuse to work on a i7 lower than 7,000, and that means by the end of October this year you will have no more updates. So that one is an i5, but for Home Assistant I would generally not advise to use an i5 7000 because they are not as powerful as you would like to if you want to use the AI integration and all the other stuff that Home Assistant is offering. So I would at least advise running an i7 7900, or if you wait, you will get an 9900 for 150,000. So for 150 pounds. So that will, don't use an i3. They are just not powerful enough. So that one is not sufficient. If you want to run a home server, don't do it. I mean, there are obviously people doing it, but if you want to use AI and music assistant and whatnot, and tracker, I mean, beacons and tracker alone use a lot of kernel space and everything. So I would advise at least 7,000. Good, so there isn't a single one on offer for, no, yeah, anyway, so it should be around about the 70-80 quid mark for the machine to run the home assistant on. But there isn't a single single. Okay, it obviously very much depends on the day and on the luck you have. So what we have here is an i5 8500 for 75 quid. That is pretty good. And yeah, that is even better if you want to run Home Assistant, because you have a lot more options with one of those than with one of those tiny ones here. The only downside is this one is a little bit more on the loud side, whereas those here, they are so quiet you can't hear anything if they are running. They are just basically, they are not loudless, but you can't hear them. I can't hear them. I mean, okay, I'm old now. Probably I could have heard them 20 years ago, but I can't hear them. So I'm still trying. Nope, there isn't a single freaking one. That is, I'm sorry, I can't even show. So that is an i7 7th generation with 32 gigabyte of RAM. Yeah, that is, I don't know, that is one of those, yeah, it's not, that is just fake advertising, because it, 110 is what you pay for the empty shell, and then everything else comes on the top. 6, 7, 7, yeah. So that is basically that they charge you 7,732 RAM. That's 265 quid. That is far too much. Generation 2. Oh God. Not a single one. i5 7200, 90 pounds. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. So it should be around about the 80 pound marks for an i7. Generation 3 i5 7200. That's far too much. i5 7500, 8 gigabyte of RAM. 500, yep, for 60 quid. So that is a contender. And better would be an i7. i7 6000, nope. Nope. It's funny. That is when you're not lucky. Okay, so as I said, I paid 50 quid for mine, for the i7 7500, no, 7400, I think it is, and it has 4 cores and it runs everything you need, including the assistant. So let's see, so settings, yep, and system and hardware. So what we have is all hardware, so that is USB. Where do we have CPU? So we have 4 CPUs with that i7 7700, and we have 64 gigabyte of RAM, I think. Memory, no, 16 gigabyte of RAM, and that is enough to run the whole household. We haven't installed everything yet because lots of it is still running on our Amazon assistant, because we haven't made the transition yet, because I've not finished the certification process. But you can see we have already integrated quite a few things. So my phone is geofenced, so that means it is registering if I'm home or not home, and that in turn will then at some point uh, influence the decision making of where lights go on and off when I come home, and how the heating works. And we have installed a camera in the kitchen so that the teenage child doesn't need to turn the lights off anymore, because there is a movement detector in the camera, and after 5 minutes of not registering any movement, then it turns off the lights automatically, which is the only way to have a decent living arrangement with your teenage children, because they will never ever use their hands to turn a fucking light off, and they can't even say it to the home assistant because they are too busy doing other stuff. So you have to find a solution. And and I also there's also a luminous sensor in the camera, which can trigger daylight dependent routines. So you can say whenever the light level is below a certain level, if you detect movement, then turn on the light, and if the light is above that level and you detect movement, then just do fucking nothing, and that's it. And yeah, we are connected to the Norwegian weather, which is friendly enough to give us our local weather. So we have a weather forecast for the next few days, which looks very depressing. And what else? Yeah, obviously we have the music integration, which is all down at the moment, because I don't want to have any music going on during the filming, during the recording. Yeah, and you can see, so we can adjust power. We have sockets which are intelligent, so I can turn on and off appliances via sockets, which is much cheaper than turning on and off appliances via voice control, because you have to pay a lot more. And yeah, what else? So that is the Home Assistant integration, which we have just started. Our printers, yeah, the ink levels, which is all nice and fine. And you can see the motion sensor, which turns the toilet on and off. And obviously nobody is home at the moment, so the heating isn't working in the basement, so there is chilling temperature at the moment because there's no heat during daytime. When everybody is gone, it's eco mode, so that means heat is only on in when it falls below 9 degrees Celsius. So for, and you have all the entities you can program, and you have a map which you can divide into zones, so it registers where you are, and then you can, when the car reaches this zone, then the heating turns on, and if whatever gimmick you want, your coffee machine going, and then you can turn your coffee machine on by just approaching your home. And as I said, the music assistant integration isn't working at the moment. If you want to have the AI assistant, you have to wait until they have a few more updates for the music assistant, because at the moment, if you use the music assistant, then my experience is it is not working in tandem with the AI. So either both of them will crash if you have uh, the music assistant. And we haven't integrated the shield. I haven't integrated the live feed of the camera. I haven't integrated the Bluetooth for the HP at the moment, so that is all still work in progress. What we already have integrated, you can see here. So it's a TV, the speech recognition systems, a VLC media player, and the weather, and that is not the weather, that is the light level sensor, which turns on light, on and off light, depending on the light levels. So that makes the timing thing super precious, because I don't have to look out if it's summer or winter time anymore. I just program a light level, and if it falls below that light level, then the light turns on, and if it is above that light level, then I have to either turn it on via voice control or manually, but it will not turn on automatically. So that is what it is. So that is the subsystem which will do all the curtains and blinds. We have some IKEA blinds, and they are running with remote control, so you can turn them on, up and down, or on and off. And what else? Shopping lists, yeah, and a to-do list to divide tasks between the household members, so that everybody knows what he has to do when he comes home. And yeah, that's about it. So that is the Home Assistant running on the HP Generation 3 i7. And yeah, so that was the only one close to what I could find. So that is an i5 8000, which is not as good as an i7 7000, but should be enough to run your Home Assistant. So the last No, is it the last? Yeah, no, the second to last cornerstone is the data, the overall data server, which is running on Open mediavault, and there we have our 20-year-old, I think, I don't know, I'm not sure, HL microserver. So that is a 50 pound part you can get on eBay for 50 quid or less, and that is running our main data server. So this is where all our movies, CDs and everything is stored, and all our documents and all whatever on data. And that is a almost 20-year-old HP ProLine microserver, which you can get, as I said, for 50 quid on eBay. And it has 3 terabytes. Oh, am I lying? I don't know. I don't even know how much storage is in there. Let's see. How many do I have? We have a RAID 5 points, so it's 2 terabyte. Yeah, it's a RAID 5, so it's 2 terabyte SAS hard disks, and 250 gigabyte SSD. So the Open mediavault runs on the 250 gigabyte SSD, and the storage unit is basically 4 SAS disks, because they are much cheaper than Serial 80A, and they are faster as well. And it's a RAID 5, so if any of them fails, I can just replace them. And the good thing is, over time, so if one of those would fail, I would not replace them with a 2 terabyte one, but I would replace them with a 3 terabyte one, and then slowly over time replace them all, and then you have a 12 terabyte RAID with about 8 terabyte, so that can storage space, so that can grow. And the system, yeah, what do we need? Nothing. This. So that is the whole thing, and as you can see, nothing is red, everything is green, so it is coping very well with our demands. There is a, so what is connected to it, the jellyfin is connected to the, yeah, the jellyfin is connected to the movies and audio files, and all of our laptops and PCs are connected to a common storage space. And what we also have is we have a common, let's see, we have a common download directory. So that means all machines have access to the same download directory. So if I want to have access to OBS Studio download, then I don't have to download it from another machine because I have access to the same download directory, download file as every folder as everybody else. So if any of my children has downloaded a file, or if I have downloaded a file, they can first look up if the file is already in the download folder, or do they need to download it again, and they don't need to download it again. So that is a handy thing to have, and yeah, and all the documents that we want to store, you can have each has his own or her own area which is password protected, so I can't read what my son is storing. Of course I can, because I'm the system administrator, but I can't do it without breaking all the rules. So I would rather not know what is in those documents, because I don't want to be treated like a pariah. So that is the Open Media Vault. So that is where the central, so all the photos and everything, which I won't show you because you're not interested in our baby photos. And that is, you can run that on any HP microserver, and I would always suggest using a microserver for it. May it be Dell or HP or whatever, because of the SAS option. So if they come with an SAS controller, then you should use that, and then you can have those cheaper SAS disks, which are not only cheaper but more reliant, faster than SATA disks. And the last in the list of options, so what, yeah, we already did that one, and the last one is the AI, which is running on the, so what you saw now was the AI running on the Home Assistant, but we also have our local AI model. So I have started a conversation already. As you can see, I've asked our local AI how he's feeling today, and he told me that he is not feeling because he is a machine, and I did not encourage his feeling of subordinates, and I think he deserves to be applauded for what he is. But anyway, so yeah, you can see, and now you can have an inkling how it works if you have access to local. This is AI local running on my machine. So if I turn off the internet, it is still working. I'm not depending on anything, any input from the outside. This is running on the tiny mini PC you have seen in the opening here. Where is it? Where is our boss game? Where is he? Here it should be. Let's see. Nope, 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 nope. Wrong one. Where are you? No, I'm such a chaotic. Luckily, I don't have to watch my own videos. Let's see. Here we are somewhere. Yep, that's it. So that is the computer we are running our AI model on. So that is an Ultra 7 155H with 64 gigabyte of DDR5 RAM, and yeah, we obviously have upgraded the disks, but apart from that, everything is as we bought it, and we bought it for 710 quid or on a sale last year. I don't think it was a Black Friday. I think it was earlier than Black Friday. It was some kind of whatever warehouse sale or whatever, and we paid £710 for it. And that was it. And now we can have a conversation with our bot. Yes, yeah, but I want to know if I have to take any concerns of yours into account before I broadcast our conversation out into the open 4.766 billion people to read. Let's see what he says about that. Oh, I'm pretty excited what he will answer. Just got some coffee from the kitchen. It's obviously some huge philosophical problems for our tiny little brain running in that box. Great question. So he's encouraging my inquisitiveness. That is a good start. Respectful. I love the respectful thing. It's also very well I don't think factuality is an issue on YouTube, is it? I think he's he's overthinking it. If factuality would be a measure on YouTube, that would be a pretty barren place. Yeah, we should be mindful about sensitive topics. Yep. We don't want people to throw stones at us. So you see, that is a pretty broad question which he answered in a, well, I would say in a decent manner, and you can see the model behind it. You can see how the whole model is cut around the edges to make them round, and how it is all about pleasing and not being offensive, and how it is all censored, and yeah, but that is fine as long as it is within what you want to do with it. So if I want to discuss the latest developments on the S&M market, I would probably not do it with a off-the-shelf model. I would probably have to look somewhere else to do that. So now let's see. I would like to replace my Amazon voice voice assistant with something local bound to Home Assistant. Point. I have a HP 40 NL mini server. No, what are they called? Yeah, mini server. Yeah. That's fine. Mini server and a boss game. Let's see if he M3 and a optiplex 12,500. Dell plus a few hard disks, comma 40 terabyte in total. Would that be a start? An optiplex 3000. Oh, yeah. So let's see what he says. Step by step guide. That sounds good. Choose a voice assistant device. Yep. So if you want to do it, you can start with a Raspberry Pi. Good. So we didn't use a Raspberry Pi. We used a optiplex for an HP 260 generation 3 for the home assistant. And we use optiplex 3000 as the management system for the virtual machines. Okay, let's see if he suggests anything for virtual machines. Okay, so he is going down the Docker route. Yep. Good. So we get a lot of interesting ideas here. Node-RED and MQMOT. That is something you can use, so you can use your old equipment. So that's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't do that one. That is probably okay. Yeah. Now you get some examples how you can use. That's where the assistants, the Gwen 2.5 really excels is when it comes to programming. I didn't realize, because I'm not structured enough, but I didn't realize how good it is. I did set up some batch files to start the AI, which took me quite a while because I had to look up all the commands. I should have just asked him to do it, and that would have been much faster. So just to show what I mean is those two here, those batch files, they are where are we? Location. Open file location. Good. So that is to start the AI. We have to use a batch file, and to write this basically the sequence of events to start the AI on the local machine, and to look that all up and to write it down. It took me about 20 minutes or so. And it would have taken not even 2 minutes if I had asked the AI itself to do it. So I'm just too old to use it properly, but that is exactly where it excels. So we have all that, but we don't use it because we are too old. Good. So what is the conclusion? With your hardware setup, you should be able to create a robust local voice assistant system using Home Assistant. Yeah. So what we lack is obviously a lot, but the microphone and everything is still not included. You need to have that. But you can see how it uses its knowledge to help you, and you can see how it can be useful. And what else? 400 word resume. Resume about the Spanish Inquisition. Oh God! About the Spanish Inquisition. Now let's say 800, huh? Probably not enough. 800. And let's see what he is up to. I mean, it's something that is on everybody's mind, is the Spanish Inquisition, and we will find out what the Chinese programmer of Quen 2.5 have put in for safeguards answering that question. So, and then that should be the last example for today. So over the next few days and weeks, I will publish more condensed videos about topics within the journey. And for those of you who are still interested, Cardano is at 71 pence today, so coming from 25, it's still pretty good, but it is a long way to the £1.50 it used to be. But that is what it is. I mean, we bought at around 80, so we have almost we have almost recovered all our losses. We are just 15% down in 3 years, which is amazing. So we lost about 5% a year plus inflation. So we lost about a third of the value we have invested. We should have all spent it on ice cream and chocolate, and then it would have been much more enjoyable. Why am I using Gwen and not OpenAI? OpenAI is just a money grab. I'm not willing to pay for each and every extra service. So the cloud model of Alibaba is much more transparent than the one of OpenAI. I have a OpenAI subscription for £20 a month, and I have bought some token as well, which I use up over time. But generally I'm not happy with OpenAI. The model is just, the 4.0 is just not good enough. It is not good with complex projects, and Gwen is much better than ChatGPT when it comes to complex projects. So that is what you get. Certainly, here is an 800-word overview of the Spanish Inquisition, covering the origins, key figures, methods, impact, and legacy. Oh, I'm looking forward to read the legacy. Ferdinand and Isabella de Castilla. See, they unified Spain under Catholicism. Henry VIII did the opposite. He unified it under Anglicanism. Once accused, individuals would face a tribunal where they had no right to legal counsel. Torture was used to extract confessions, often leading to false admissions. Palestine springs to mind. So not much has changed over the last 600 years. Obviously, the expulsion of Muslims had no economic consequences. I love it. I love it. I love it. Mm. Yeah, religious states are very much in the coming again. Ethnic cleansing is very high up on the agenda. So we are back where we are coming from. I love it. Good. I think you have a little bit of an overview. Let's see if we can get something which is what is the difference between AC and DC. That will take probably a little bit longer than 2 minutes, and that will be the last example for today before I wrap it up. And yeah, I think you have a good overview now about what kind of home integration lies before us. And as you can see, you can integrate web search here, so you can uh, use web search because of the cut-off date, so there is no information the model can provide which is from after, which is more recent than July 24. To circumvent that, you can include web search in the answers, and then he can just grab the web and you can include the first 5 or 6 topics he finds on the web to include it in his answers. But anyway, always be aware that whatever you use AI for, the answers could be completely wrong and made up. There is no such thing as a certified answer from AI. It could be complete and utter nonsense. So if you depend on something, then you better check before you rely on your AI model. But if you want to use it with Home Assistant so that it has a better context menu, and you can just use longer sentences and more complex orders to turn or use your household appliances and all that, yeah, then that is a huge step forward compared to the Bezos owned voice assistant, which is basically a lexicon, which can't, if you don't say what it has learned in its training, then it can't answer. Or yeah, it just won't. So if you say um, Mrs. Bezos, turn on the living room light and then turn it back off again, then it can't do anything because it can't turn it off. But if you use the same with an AI model, it should be able to turn it off because it knows the context and it knows that you mean the light you just turned on. So let's see what the difference between AC and DC is. Concurrent and direct. The watch still working. So you see, that is a very complex and factual questions which he needs a lot more time to think about than about the Spanish Inquisition, which is historic and yeah. He might have been lost in the current. Or electrocuted by one of his own transistors. Come on, you can do this. He just has no hertz. Ah, no, he has. The primary. Yep, let's see if you get to the secondary through the primary. Okay. It's not that he is actually squeezing our computer. So there's still a lot of power left. But obviously there's a lot to think about. Yeah, a little green bar showing the progress would be very helpful. but that's not included in the model so far. Okay, alternating current, yeah, well, that's not too bad. And direct current, DC, yep, is. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Good, good, good. So it means the current is flowing forth and reversing. In a sine wave, exactly. That's why you want sine wave converters. Good. I would say that is a pretty good description of what AC is. Alternating. Oh, now we have direct. That is our. So alternating is our power socket and direct is our battery. That's why the power socket is never empty. Good. So that is it for today. I think you see that things are possible even without expensive equipment. We are basically running intelligence on a shoestring. That's what my children say about me every time. And it works. I mean, it's not overwhelming, but it is not underwhelming either. It is pretty decent for what you get. So you can scan documents and it can analyze documents, and as I said, you can scour the internet, and You can even make him draw pictures if you want to. And you can have a conversation about your favorite topics if you're feeling that you want to talk to some electric circuits rather than having a conversation with a rage-fueled teenager. So that is something which is always helpful. Okie dokie. So I hope you had a bit of fun watching it and it gave you some thoughts. And yeah, let's see what I come up with next in a few weeks time, and feel free to get in touch via email or leave a comment and I will answer your comments. Thank you very much for watching and have a very good day. But let's finish him. I'm not cutting him off. We want to be respectful. So, now he has finished and now we can cut him off. Good. Have a very good day and enjoy yourself.